Genesis 24 and 25, and Matthew 9. Abraham is now old, and Isaac, I'm assuming his son, is growing up. He sends his servant out to find his son a daughter, does not want the daughter to come from the Canaanites. The Canaanites obviously, or apparently, is corrupt. I thought it sounded like the Canaanites was going to be this holy place, the promised land, and it may be, but at least right now it's corrupt. So he doesn't want his daughter to come from the Canaanites. So she comes from somewhere in the Mesopotamia. I'm not exactly sure where, but the servant goes into the city of Nahor, and the girl's coming out of the house. He has this vision. He knows, so he probably knows what's going on. There's going to be a city. That's kind of the thing that I guess they did back in the day. It was a common thing. They would take the jars of water, they go fill them up, they bring them back. There's probably a lot of that going on. That was probably one of the main jobs that you could always. There was always somebody with a jar going to get water, and they were probably having the younger girls do that. So his vision, I believe it sounds like, is he knows that that's going to be the spot where he's going to find her. But he goes one step further and he says, not only will it be from this scene that he's depicted, but also she'll offer him water, or maybe he asks her for water and he says that she'll say yes. I guess she could say no. She could say, no, get out of here. I'm not going to talk to strangers or whatever. But he says that she'll say yes and give him water, and that on her own she'll offer to water the camels. So I think he asked for water, and of course, just as he described, she takes the jar off her head or off her shoulder, gives it to him, he drinks, and then she goes and waters the camels. So now he knows it's her. This is the one that he was foreseeing. So he's loaded up with all sorts of ornaments and jewelry and gold and silver and valuables from Abraham, who's obviously extremely affluent at this point, having gotten gifts from multiple pharaohs and kings. So they go to the house. The brother of the sister comes out, and I think the mother was there. There might have been other people, but he says, can I come back and stay for the night? They say yes, so they're all about to eat. He says, before we eat, let me just go ahead and go forward with this. And he tells them that I was sent by Abraham, son of the Lord, and this is my prophecy that this girl is to be wed to Abraham's son, Isaac. And that happens. The family seems to say, okay. So he's like, all right, they're going to eat, and then we wake up the next day and go. And I guess it was soon for the family. They were like, let's give it 10 days. He says, I don't want to delay this. Let's keep it moving. So they asked Rebecca, the girl, who's probably very young. She says yes. So they get loaded up with their goods. The family is probably well off because they sent the nurse with Rebecca. So she's got her own mini entourage with her. Nothing to the likes of Abraham, but still, I'm pretty sure that this family was somewhat related to Abraham somehow. It was brothers, sisters, uncles, something like that. That's 24. 25. I believe is, well, in 24 I think so. They bring Rebecca back, and Isaac is out in the field. It's evening. It must be this picturesque moment, and the girl's like, oh, who is that? And the servant was like, oh, wow, 100 yards away, this is this magical match that's happening. Isaac comes over, she puts on the veil. They live happily ever after, at least, so it's being depicted. They do go into Sarah's tent, apparently, or Sarah's castle. Well, it's not a castle, obviously, it's like a tent or a house. But that's probably symbolic because Sarah just passed away. Isaac's mother just passed away. And now he's got Rebecca with him, so he's probably somewhat comforted in that aspect. And 25, Abraham's death and his descendants. So 25, I guess it's moving kind of quick now. Abraham dies, and he gets buried in I'm assuming it's land with a cave on it, next to Sarah. Rebecca conceives with Isaac and has 2 twins in her womb. The 2 nations are in your womb, and the 2 peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, the older shall be younger. And the first one came out red, and his body like a hairy cloak. His name was Esau. The next one came out holding his heel, so they called him Jacob. So his name was called Jacob. I'm not sure how they got Jacob from heel holding. Maybe there is something. I didn't research that deeply, but that's normally one of the things I would try to find out. Esau was a skilled hunter, and Jacob was a quiet man dwelling in the tents. But Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. So we kind of get into the dialogue there, and the interesting thing here was that Esau sold Jacob his birthright for a bowl of stew. So he was out hunting, it sounds like, and he comes back in, and Jacob is preparing his lentil stew. I was envisioning him cooking Esau's meat, but lentil stew, it could be vegetarian. Either way, Esau comes back in hungry. He's been out hunting. Jacob's got food prepared. They're brothers, so maybe they weren't getting along great. Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright," which is his right to his inheritance. Esau says he's dying. So I'm not sure if he's exaggerating there. He says, "What difference does it make? I'm about to die. Of what use is a birthright to me?" So something happens there where he's either doing it in jest, where he's saying, yeah, sure, whatever, I just want this bowl of soup right now. And but it is symbolic where he doesn't take that very seriously. And they make the promise. He takes the bowl of soup. They make the promise for the birthright, and that's it. Forgot Matthew 9. In Matthew 9, they go through Jesus's work. So he heals a paralytic. After he healed it, they said the man was blaspheming. Actually, they said it themselves that this man is blaspheming. Jesus heard it in their thoughts and said, "Why do you think evil in your hearts? For which is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Rise and walk'?" Jesus calls Matthew. Matthew's a tax collector in the tax booth and says to him, "Follow me." A questioning about fasting. It's the one where the new wine is put in the old wineskins. If the skins burst. A girl is restored to life and a woman healed. Someone says her daughter has died, so he goes over to the house. They're all laughing at him. He goes in, heals the daughter. Jesus heals 2 blind men. They say, "Have mercy on us, son of David." Jesus says, "Do you believe that I can do this?" They say, "Yes, Lord." He touches their eyes and they're healed. And he also heals a man who's unable to speak.